It's story time, Uncle Yahya, and you promised to tell us the rest of the Prophet's story.
Yes, but do remind me, where did we leave off last time?
You told us about the Prophet as a child and young man.
Mecca is an old, old place. In it stands the Kaaba, the house of God built by Ibrahim and his son Ismail, may Allah's peace be upon them. Pilgrims used to flock to Mecca from all over Arabia to visit the Kaaba. But with the passage of time, people forgot that the purpose of going there was to worship God, and they started to worship idols. At one time, there were as many as 360 idols and statues in and around the Kaaba. Mecca was a mercantile city, that is, a city of merchants. The aristocrats of Quraysh were businessmen who traded north and south, winter and summer. Their caravans were always on the move. In the winter, they headed to Yemen in the south, in the summer to Damascus in the north. The caravans of Quraysh returned from Yemen and Damascus full with all sorts of goods that they then sold in Mecca.
Here, sir, we have brought this delicious fruit all the way from Damascus. Will you buy it?
You mean you crossed all those deserts and think that your fruit is still good enough?
Yes, sir. We have made sure to keep it good and worthy of sale. For 100 dirhams, all these stacks of apples and pomegranates can be yours.
100 dirhams? For a power worth no more than 20.
I swear by Allah and by Al-Uzza, 20 dirhams is far less than it costs us to buy it.
Here, take these 25 dirhams and give me that roll of silk too.
But sir, put yourself in our place. Crossing all those deserts and mountains for handfuls of coppers. What are we to give to our starving children? Have pity, sir.
No merchant in Mecca could be kinder or more generous. The choice is yours. 20 dirhams or rotten apples and stinking pomegranates.
But sir...
No buts. Go and circumambulate round the holy Kaaba. No more nonsense for me.
All right, sir. Take it all for 25 dirhams. And may Allah grant us mercy. I wish you a good evening.
I wish you a good evening. A good evening indeed.
As you may already know, some very bad habits had prevailed in Mecca until the society became rotten to the core. But our Prophet, may Allah's peace and grace be upon him, possessed high moral qualities that made him the talk of the city, and he was admired by all. There is one event that will make this clear. It is a story that sheds some light on his character and how highly he was respected.
وإذ يرفع إبراهيم القواعد من البيت وإسماعيل ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم.
You will remember that Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail, peace be upon them, had together laid the foundation and built the structure of the Kaaba. And then Ibrahim was ordained by God to call people to perform the pilgrimage. Ever since, the Kaaba became the place of pilgrimage and the destination to which all pilgrims flocked from all over the world. One day, 5 years before God called the Prophet to proclaim the message of Islam, Mecca was flooded by heavy rains and a massive torrent. The Kaaba was about to collapse. The Quraysh had to rebuild it to maintain its status among the tribes of Arabia. But there were several rival clans within Quraysh, each contending for the honor of being the builders of the Kaaba. To avoid disputes, the rebuilding was divided into several parts and each clan was assigned its share.
Look at Walid ibn al-Mughira. See how he began to demolish the Kaaba without coming to any harm? I was so scared that God will thunderbolt us for demolishing the Kaaba in order to rebuild it. But now, my heart is at peace.
The part assigned to our clan is almost finished.
Here is the black stone. Oh, the happiness of restoring it to its place with my own hands.
What are you saying? We all know the honor and exalted value of this stone sent from heaven to Prophet Ibrahim. Restoring it would crown the work of rebuilding the Kaaba.
Yes, I know. And that is why I will place the black stone. I will place the black stone.
Dream on, dream on. You will do nothing of the sort. Placing the black stone is a right that belongs to our clan. Have you forgotten that it is our hands that feed the pilgrims and give them hospitality? The hands that feed are the hands that will build. The honor is ours.
Over my dead body, I swear by Allat and Al-Uzza that no one will place it other than me.
Nonsense. Don't come any closer if you want to see the daylight again.
Away, everyone! I will place the black stone, or my sword will show you!
Get out of my way! It seems that you are too deaf to reason. The mightiness of our tribe will make you understand.
For days, the tribes were in the grip of a hot dispute. Words as sharp as daggers flew when war was about to break out on the sacred grounds of the Kaaba. They could not agree on who would restore the black stone. Each wished to have the honor of putting it in the very spot where Prophet Ibrahim had placed it. War, imminent and terrible war, bared its teeth.
Cool it, brothers! Lend your ears to my counsel. Since we cannot agree, let us go to arbitration. Let the first man who enters the gate of the great mosque be the arbiter, and let us agree to accept whatever judgment he makes.
Agreed.
Agreed!
Look, someone's coming. It's Mohammed the Trustworthy.
The right man? Mecca has no fairer or wiser man.
We consent. Let him be the arbiter. We cannot find a better judge.
And so it was. As the prophet drew nearer, the tribesmen related their dispute. After some reflection, the prophet asked them to give him a mantle, some piece of cloth. He then put the black stone right in the middle. Then the prophet, may the peace and grace of God be upon him, spoke. Addressing the chiefs of the clans, he asked each one to hold one side of the cloth. They would all lift the black stone together. When they had lifted it to where it was to be restored, our prophet placed it in its spot with his own bare hands. The tribesmen beamed with satisfaction. Muhammad's wisdom put an end to a terrible dispute. The prophet used to frequent the cave of Hira. This was a cave in Mount Nur near Mecca. He would spend the month of Ramadan there, and would help the needy and the poor if they came his way. In the blessed solitude of the cave, the prophet would meditate and reflect on all that surrounded him on earth, on the universe, and on the might and power that had created all of it. And then, in that cave, one Ramadan night, came the call. It happened all of a sudden. The angel Jibril came to the prophet. He was startled. The angel approached swiftly and seized him in a tight embrace.
اقرأ.
I cannot read, was the answer of the prophet.
اقرأ.
The angel commanded him again and again, read, and each time the prophet answered, I cannot read. God Almighty then revealed to his prophet the first words of the glorious Quran.
اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم.
Then there was silence, and the angel Jibril disappeared just as suddenly as he had appeared. The prophet was gripped by awe. He returned home terrified. He rushed to his wife Khadija. Trembling with fear, he said, "Wrap me up! Wrap me up!" He wanted to be covered, for he felt very cold. Khadija, may God bless her, comforted and reassured him. She told him it is only good that awaits the good. "You are," she said, "kind to your kin, generous to your guests, helpful to the weak, and you speak the truth. God will not disgrace a man on whom he has bestowed these virtues. God will be with you." Then she took him to her cousin Waraqa ibn Nawfal. He was a man who had embraced Christianity and was familiar with the Bible and the Torah.
No man who has brought news such as yours could have done so without alienating his people. Enemies you will have. If I live long enough, you will have my hearty, unbridled support. No doubt, you are the prophet whose coming is foretold by the Torah and the Bible.
The will of God was manifested. The last of his prophets was sent with the divine message. And from then on, the prophet became dedicated to his mission. He gave himself wholly to Islam. He lived and died for Islam. So you see, children, how God chose his prophet. God in his wisdom willed him to grow as an orphan so he would be able to feel the pain of others and know their need for compassion. And solitude in that cave was a great school. It taught him to meditate and reflect on the might of God and the miracles of creation. And there was the character of the prophet. His honesty and righteousness won him the hearts and minds of his people. Such was our prophet. May Allah's peace and grace be upon him.
May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him.